All right, go. All right. Have you ever went fishing and came home empty-handed? Have you ever went fishing for crappie? I'm Dustin Willis and would like to take 5 minutes of your time to talk about what is the crappie fish, how to fish for crappie, when and where to fish for it, and some baits to use. So first let's talk about what is the crappie. A crappie fish is a sunfish. It's a part of the sunfish family, which is similar to a brim or a shellcracker. It's a panfish that can be found in the United States and Canada. The average weight is about 1 pound of a crappie. It reached maturity at age 2 years old. It lives in schools, which is good for fishermen because if you can catch one crappie, you can catch a lot of crappie in one single spot. There's 2 types of crappie, black and white. According to Williams with Crappie Crazy, white crappie have black vertical bar patterns and are olive green in color. They have a dorsal fin which is closer to the rear of the fish and also has 5 to 6 spines on the dorsal fin. However, black crappie, on the other hand, has random patterns and has 7 to 8 spines on its back. Now that we know that what crappie looks like, let's talk about when and where to crappie fish. Crappie are not very active during the daytime, so you need to crappie fish at nighttime. According to Johnson, with the Ultimate Pan Fisherman, spring is the best season when to crappie fish. During springtime, the water is still cool, and this is also the time when crappie are spawning, and they are very active, or also known as in a frenzy. During springtime, you need to fish in shallow waters. According to Hart, with the summer crappie strategies, during the summertime, you need to fish in deep water. That's over 25 feet. The 25 feet is where the cold water would be at for the crappie fishing. According to Everett with New York State, fall fishing is the hardest. Just because it's hard to fish in the fall time does not mean that there's not crappie in the water. It's just harder to fill your cooler during this season. According to Bailey with Seeking Winter Wonders, the second best season to go crappie fishing is in the wintertime. During the wintertime, it's best to fish in cold, deep waters that have brush piles or any kind of sinking objects to cast around. Make sure that you find the deepest water possible. Also, if there comes a warm spree, you want to make sure that you go to the warm water during this season. Being in the water at the right time isn't going to make crappie jump in your boat. A good fisherman must know what kind of fishing bait to use. When fishing for crappie, you can use 2 different types of bait. One is a live bait and the other one is a jig. When fishing with live baits, the best bait to fish with is a minnow. Live minnows are cheap, they're readily available, and the easiest way to hook a minnow to keep it still alive to fish with it is hook it through the rear dorsal fin. You can also fish with worms or you can also fish with insects, but the most common, again, is a minnow due to this being the main diet of the crappie fish. You can also fish with jigs while crappie fishing. When fishing with jigs, keep in mind that there's 2 different styles of jigs. One is a dark color jig. A dark color jig is used whenever the sunlight is not out, and it's also when the sunlight is out. You can also use a light color jig is when the sunlight is not out. Depending on your location and the time of the year depends on if you should use a light color or a dark color jig. Now that we know the baits, let's discuss some of the methods that's commonly used for fishing for crappie. One common method that's used for crappie fishing is the vertical jigging. According to California Outdoors, this is the most popular method of fishing for crappie, is the vertical jigging. When vertical jigging, fishermen will lay their jigs deep down in the water and make a sudden jerk to it, which makes the crappie attack the jig and bite it. Whenever you're fishing when you're horizontal fishing, this is normal casting, which is also good in areas such as the docks or pontoons or also brush piles. So now that we have talked about the types of fishing, horizontal jigging and vertical jigging, now you know pretty much the basics about crappie fishing. So in conclusion, today we have talked about the 2 different types of crappie, which is the black and the white. We've talked about the best 2 times to go fishing, which is during the daytime and also during the spring, which however you can still fish as you are. You can fish in the nighttime in the spring, but you still can fish in the daytime in the other seasons. But the best time to crappie fish is during the nighttime during the spring. We've also talked about the types of bait you can use, which is the natural bait and also the unnatural bait, and we've also talked about the jigging, the vertical and the horizontal. So now that you know the ins and outs of crappie fishing, go get your fishing license, go get a partner, and go hit the water and bag some crappie. Thank you and have a good day.